So I guess the summer Nintendo Direct is coming a little late this year, or the fall Direct is coming early, or perhaps more likely they're being blended into a single show, as it's unlikely that they're going to have enough to talk about for the rest of 2023 to fill out 2 presentations. As we all know, Nintendo sat out E3 2023, which either directly or indirectly led to the event's outright cancellation, and they have since aligned themselves with August's Gamescom event in Germany. This means that Nintendo will be presenting at the show, and we all know what types of presentations Nintendo has come to prefer for trade shows, so it stands to reason that we're likely to get an August Direct this year rather than the usual June and or September shows that we're used to. Yes, there are some people still holding out hope for a June Direct, but opting out of E3 sends a clear message that they just don't have anything else coming soon enough to warrant talking about this month. Now by this time, Pikmin 4 will be out, and the Baten Kaitos collection should be, and Nintendo won't really have a pipeline to speak of, or with which to entice people to attend the following month's Nintendo Live for that matter, meaning that Gamescom will be their last opportunity to set the stage. Thus, I figured now would be a fun time to take a look at what Nintendo needs to accomplish with this show and how it could potentially play out. Nintendo's obvious first objective will be to fill up the calendar for the next 9 to 12 months to keep people active and invested in the Switch. Based on what information we have, there's not a lot of new marquee stuff in the pipeline to work with, but one game that we know about for sure is Metroid Prime 4. I don't think that it will make the holidays, although I'd be happy to be wrong about that. A lot of us were similarly wrong about Pikmin 4 after all. But I'm going to operate on the assumption that they need something else to occupy that big holiday spot. Secondly, Nintendo has to do something about the discontent surrounding the Nintendo Switch Online program, because just like Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo is finding its own online service under some intense scrutiny, especially without a short-term subscription option for the expansion pack. There's a wide gulf here between what they should do and what I think they will do, so I'm going to err on the side of realism here when I get to this part, and save the idealism of what I specifically would do for another video. Finally, Nintendo has to address the hardware situation. I'm not saying they have to produce a detailed roadmap from Switch to Switch Pro to Switch 2, complete with launch dates and software lineups and all that, but at this point they have to show a measure of in-touchness with the Switch community and self-awareness that there is in fact a narrative surrounding this that it's in their best interest to take command over. Let's get started then. I can see the show opening with Metroid Prime 4, much like how the February Direct opened with Pikmin 4. I'm not expecting a ton of exposition, but definitely a little gameplay, an overview of the setting, and maybe a couple new features that differentiate it from the first 3 games before dropping a spring or summer release date. The biggest reveals for this game should be saved for the February Direct. From there, the natural next step is a first-party B-roll. I think we'll finally see the Switch version of Mario Baseball that we've been hearing about in the rumor mill for months, and probably with an imminent release date if not an outright shadow drop, because I have to imagine they want to get it out while it's still baseball season. Any other new releases are just too unpredictable to call. From there, we can reveal a few more remasters like the long-rumored F-Zero GX, Golden Sun Collection, and Custom Robo. And fuck it, it's my projection, so I'll put Wave Race Blue Storm on here too. Of course, we finished this segment with the shadow drop of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, following up on the February Direct, with a subsequent physical release date in September. An outside possibility here would be Xenoblade Chronicles X. After that, we'll go into the first wave of Tears of the Kingdom DLC, whatever form that might take, before we go into the third-party segment. Now, I'm going to be pretty idealistic here, but based on credible rumors and safe assumptions alike, I feel like this could be spearheaded by Sega bringing Skies of Arcadia, which has had a lot of buzz lately from very credible sources, and Panzer Dragoon Zwei, which was confirmed ages ago and just recently had a long period of radio silence broken on the developer's Discord, reaffirming its ongoing development. My long-shot Sega prediction is that we could see a Phantasy Star Online Episodes 1 through 4 collection, as I talked about in the top 10 games that should go to the Switch in remaster or collection form a while back, which as far as I'm aware hasn't even been rumored just yet, but is such a logical move considering how well PSO2 is doing on other platforms. There are just so many fun ways you could implement this game with NSO, split-screen co-op a la GameCube, and even ad hoc play with the Switch being the Switch. Honestly, ad hoc classic PSO could be a real treat on the Switch. Moving on from Sega, Front Mission 2 should appear in the B-roll as well in the wake of its delay, just to get it some positive press, along with some kind of Dragon Quest announcement, whether it's a localization of 10 offline, the HD 2D remake of 3, or something new altogether that we don't know about like a 9 remake. I thought about maybe putting Chrono Trigger in here, but while I'm convinced it has to happen before we close the book on the Switch, I really believe it'll be a 2024 thing. Maybe in February? After the holiday rush, rush, but before Metroid Prime 4. Something also tells me that we could see release dates for both Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes and Suikoden Gate Runen Dunen Unification Wars, and that they'll both be arriving very soon. Now, if Nintendo really plays their cards right, they'll be prepared for a landscape-shifting NSO disclosure to basically prove to the world that they've got their shit together. Unfortunately, I don't think that's happening, so I'll save what they should do for another video. What I do expect is a huge disclosure about upcoming games, maybe even with some dates attached to them, and hopefully the introduction of monthly and quarterly subscription options for the expansion pack, in recognition that a lot of good faith has been lost when it comes to the erratic release timetable. To round out the game announcements, we dropped the two big ones: The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD in October, and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD in November. The idea being that these two games with their extraordinary demand can fill the spot that would ordinarily be occupied by a new release for the holidays. And to close, I'll step into Yoshiaki Koizumi's shoes for one more thing. In regards to future hardware, we aren't ready to reveal the successor to the Nintendo Switch at this time, but for now we do want to assure you that it will be a part of the Nintendo Switch family of products when it arrives. In the meantime, rest assured that we have heard your concerns regarding the technical limitations of the Switch in its 7th year on the market, and we'll be addressing those concerns in the form of a fourth and final model, Nintendo Switch DX, pronounced Deluxe. This system boasts 256GB of onboard storage, the same display found on our OLED model, FSR technology to achieve resolutions never before seen on Nintendo Switch, full system optimizations to push the Switch hardware to its very limits, and a more powerful battery to maintain that performance. Nintendo Switch Deluxe will be available March 29th, 2024, but if you just can't wait to get your hands on it, it will be available to try on the show floor at Nintendo Live next month in Seattle, with optimized versions of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Pikmin 4, and the world premiere multiplayer demo of Metroid Prime 4 featured at our demo stations. In addition, every game announced today will feature Nintendo Switch Deluxe optimizations, and our internal studios are hard at work on optimization patches for select first-party titles that we will reveal as we get closer to launch. So I tried to keep the real pie-in-the-sky, overly optimistic shit to a minimum, even though a Phantasy Star Online collection might qualify as such. Just about everything else has been tied to credible rumors or lines up with known timetables surrounding the announced games that I talked about, at least to the best of my knowledge. I tried to avoid too much talk of new game announcements, because if Metroid Prime 4 isn't making this holiday season and there's a new release rather than a remaster still filling that holiday spot, it's something we don't know about yet, and that just goes too deep into the realm of wild speculation for my liking. I honestly feel that Wind Waker and Twilight Princess would do a fine job as Switch's 2023 send-off, but we'll see how it shakes out. And that's all for now. If you like this video, then please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, as it all helps grow the channel. Click the notification bell to know right away when the next video drops. I'm Patrick Mifflin, and I'll see you back here soon.